It's no secret that amusement parks love to nickel and dime their guests as much as possible. I mean, look at people who play Roller Coaster Tycoon. They've found ways to exploit guests' needs to stay dry and charge them the maximum price of $20 just for an umbrella. Similar to the game logic here, amusement park owners know that as a guest, you are mostly limited to the food and amenity choices that are hosted at the park. This means that you can charge a pretty penny for basic items simply because your guests really have no other option. This is where skip the line passes come in. I wanted to analyze whether or not these add-ons are a great idea that theme park operators came up with, or if they are yet another way for them to milk the wallets of their park guests. Speaking of money, did you know that we have a Patreon? For just $1 a month, you can help me bring you guys even more high-quality content. Links in the description below. Alright, without further ado, let's dive in.
Life needs more reasons to
ride roller coasters.
More
empty pockets
all around. More.
I can't afford anything right now. Please send help.
This summer, come celebrate our 150th anniversary because life needs more
poor people.
In order to better organize this video, I think it's important to break down this topic into some different segments. Ultimately, this should help make the information more digestible for you guys. I think it's important to consider the history of these systems and cover where we are in modern times. Some skip-the-line systems have returned back to their roots, whereas others have seemingly gone completely off the deep end. Finally, once we piece together all of the relevant information, I want to answer the question this video is asking. Are these skip-the-line systems a good idea, or are they a shameless cash grab by park operators? In order to see which park was the first to introduce a skip-the-line system, follow me to Universal Studios. It was here in the year 1999 that the Express Pass was introduced. Designed as a way for guests to reserve a time-designated slot in line, this system initially had no extra cost. Later in the year, Disneyland introduced an identical system called Fast Pass. Guests could pick up a ticket and get a reserved time for when they could return to that ride and skip straight past the line. Both of these systems were stolen entirely from the World's Fair circuit, which had the same system to help control the flow of crowds. A lot of the parks that offer this are ones that see fairly large crowds. By offering systems to allow some guests to skip the lines, it can arguably improve the experience for the guests who partake in it. Moving on to the early 2000s, the Cedar Fair chain introduced their own system known as Ticket to Ride. This pass, later renamed to Freeway, was identical in execution to the Disney and Universal offerings in that it was a free reservation system that guests could utilize. In 2002, the Six Flags chain introduced a similar concept, except it was a $10 add-on that guests could use. The price paid for this isn't astronomical, but this was the first introduction of a paid pass to allow park guests to skip a line entirely whenever they wanted. Shortly after this, Cedar Fair chain discontinued their freeway system as guests were complaining about the fact that the park was encouraging line jumping. This caused them to reintroduce a paid system in 2011, identical to the paid Six Flags Flash Pass system called Fastlane. Other theme park chains started to follow a similar route, with Universal and SeaWorld offering paid skip-the-line passes as a replacement to the free reservation system they previously had. Since a lot of the parks first introduced these systems, many of them have changed the way they work or have adjusted the pricing. To start, Disneyland moved in a few different directions up until today, where we have Lightning Lane. What was once a free reservation system has turned into an add-on through the Genie service that Disney offers. For a fluctuating price of anywhere between $16 to $26, park guests can reserve a time slot for a ride. On the Universal side of things, their add-on was similarly free, but now costs around $80 for a single skip the line pass per ride, or $109 for their all-inclusive offering, allowing for unlimited line skips. Starting to get kind of expensive, are we? Well, how about Six Flags? Their fast lane started at $10 in 2002, so not terrible. Now, $70? I mean, at least it lets you skip the line once at each attraction at the park, right? Only designated rides at each park? Seriously? What about their all-inclusive offering? $600? For skipping the line for an entire year? I mean, sure, it works for the whole year, but $600? Why is this even a thing? Surely SeaWorld can't be all that bad. I mean, come on. Nothing can beat this, right? Well, I couldn't find a record for what their prices used to be. But if I wanted to book a fast pass for one day at Busch Gardens Tampa on the days that aren't already reserved, $209 for designated attractions for one day? Okay, Cedar Fair. Now's your time to shine, right? Let's see here. Your fast lane started at $50 in 2011, so late to the party and a bit high, but not the worst. How about today? Wait, am I reading that right? $85 for a daily pass to skip the line. Again, only at designated rides? Mind you, this is the Kings Island pricing. Let's take a look at Cedar Point. $95. Bigger park, bigger rides, bigger lines. What about the other offerings? If you want to skip more lines, like on the popular attractions, you gotta get Fastlane Plus at $115. Then what about their all-inclusive offering? What? $800 at Kings Island and $950 at Cedar Point for the annual option? Seriously?
Nice.
Clearly, some parks have it better than others, but I think it's safe to say that, yes, this industry is plagued with shameless cash grabs. Prepare yourself, we're about to bring some big scary numbers to the screen. The fact that some of these prices are as high as they are for a single day's use is insane to me. Let's consider this. In order to enter Cedar Point for a single day, you're looking at paying roughly $85 for a single person, or $50 if you go online. Then, you're hungry. Time to eat. That will be roughly $60 for lunch and dinner combined. So at maximum, if you purchase the tickets at the gate, that's $145. And then, if you wanted to add a fast lane for the day, well, if you want to save some money, that'll be $240 total. Or if you wanted to splurge a bit, $260. You know what I just realized? If you're driving a car here, which, by the way, there really isn't many suitable mass transit options, you have to pay for parking. That'll be $25, please. So now we're up to either $265 for the cheap route or $285 for the more expensive route for a single day at an amusement park. Mind you, this still doesn't take into account the lockers that you have to pay for or on-ride photos or souvenirs. Yeah, so spendy. In the grand scheme of things, money is subjective for a lot of people for various reasons, but to put it lightly, going to amusement parks is becoming expensive. I don't even want to start with the Disney or Universal equivalents. Jeez. Did you know that Disneyland only cost visitors $1 to enter in 1955? Which, accounting for inflation, is worth roughly $11.53 in today's money. Today, a single person ticket can cost around $170 based on their own website. So, in percentage, that's a 1,372.5% markup. Now, tell me, do you think that Disneyland today is 1,372.5% larger or better than it was in 1955? Nerd time. Let's look at the actual math. Size. Disneyland used to be 160 acres. It is now 500, so it's tripled in size. What about staffing? When it opened, it had about 50 employees. Now, about 35,000. Wow, okay, that's huge. Now, how does that compare to annual attendance? In its opening year, it saw 5 million people in attendance. Not bad. Today, it sees an annual attendance somewhere in the ballpark of about 19 million, an almost 4 times increase from the opening year. Pricing, based on just attendance numbers alone, that would be $5 million profit in the opening year. Today, with today's prices, oh, you're not ready for this. $3,230,000,000. Now look, I get it. Prices for everything right now are high. Building materials, CEOs, housing, travel. It's no secret that things have gotten more expensive. By the way, did you know that the CEO of Disney, Bob Iger, earned roughly $31.6 million in 2023? Meanwhile, the average employee wage is at $16.79 an hour, or $35,000 annually. Something else I should mention. In 2023, Disney made a profit of $30.533 billion. That's the money they had after all of their expenses. I wonder, if you gave every one of Disney's 225,000 employees a $2 raise based off of the average wage, that would mean that they'd be getting paid $18.79 per hour, or $39,000 a year. And Bob would have to sacrifice $936 million out of Disney's profit, which means they'd still be making $29.597 billion. And if his employees were given a $10 raise instead, they'd be making an average of about $55,000 a year. Mr. Iger and Disney would have to start pinching pennies though. Maybe even consider skipping out on Starbucks once in a while, because they'd only be making $25.853 billion. Oh, the humanity. I understand that this is a fairy tale of a hypothetical, but how are those trickle-down economics working out for you? Aside from this harrowing diversion, I think it's safe to say that this service that started as a free thing that any guest could take part in as a way for parks to manage crowds has turned into a shameless cash grab by theme park operators. In my opinion, there really is no excuse for the prices being what they are, especially the annual options. Consider what benefits you actually get for what you're paying. You get to skip past some lines if you pay a decent bit. You get to skip past some more lines if you pay a decent bit more. And then you get to do this every single time you visit if you pay just a walloping like $600 out of your pocket. Yikes. It's safe to say I've exposed my opinions on a lot of this stuff quite clearly. I guess I'd be a lot more willing to pay the prices that I do if my money was actually going somewhere that I felt was much more beneficial. Just saying. If it weren't for the fact that these prices increase the way that they have, and if they didn't mostly go straight to the pockets of the leaders at these companies, then there would be more of a consideration by me, and probably a lot more people, to be willing to spend this kind of money. By and large, this isn't an issue exclusive to the theme park industry. Rather, it's a larger problem that we all face in the world today, but I will admit is a slightly more North American-centric issue. Slightly. I would say vote with your wallet, but you're really making the choice between which billionaires' pockets you're lining. So yeah, fast passes. They're a shameless cash grab. For those of you worried, no, my channel is not turning political. I will be returning back to my solely roller coaster focused content next week. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to leave a like and comment below and hit that bell icon. Special thanks to our Patreon supporter, Future Collective. $1 a month helps me bring even more content to you guys, and I even have some exclusive content coming, so check it out. Check the description below to find links to the rest of our pages. Thanks for watching the video, and ride on, Coaster Maniacs.